All right, welcome back to the Net to Net podcast. I'm your host, Sam Kelty, and today we're talking about soccer podcast. We're back here, just me today. Casey was unavailable today, and Caleb is still out on vacation. So hopefully we get these boys back in the studio next weekend for another episode. But today it's just me. Today we're talking about the Euros. We're talking about Copa. We'll talk about MLS. And we'll talk about the state of the union of the United States men's national team to end the episode. So first of all, today we're going to start with Copa America. Last time we started off with the Euros, so we're going to start with Copa today. So we saw the quarterfinals kick off on Thursday, July 4th, with Ecuador versus Argentina. Messi returns to the fold after being injured in their second game and not playing their third and final game of the group. Everybody was wondering if he was going to make it in time to start, and he did. Now, there was a decent amount of possession from the Argentines, but honestly, Ecuador had played very well. I think the game was honestly, it was pretty even, to be honest, watching that game. Ecuador did look very good at certain times of the game. And it looked like Argentina was a little bit rattled. I don't think they were thinking that it was going to be this hard to move on. They ended up tying 1-1 and winning in penalties 4-2. It was a very good game. We saw the likes of Messi starting. The main question was Lautaro going to start, or were they going to go with Julian Alvarez? They ended up going with Lautaro Martinez, who is the top scorer in the Copa America, who has been playing phenomenal since regaining his starting spot. I know they were going with Julian Alvarez for the most part of the tournament, but then they ended up switching to Lautaro once Messi got injured, and he has been on fire ever since, and he's proving why he should keep his spot when he lost it during the World Cup, because he really wasn't there. But yeah, like I mentioned, they went with Nico Gonzalez over Di Maria. I know we talked on the last podcast that we would think Di Maria would start, but they ended up going with Nico Gonzalez on the right, Rodrigo De Paul they went with Nico Gonzalez on the left, Rodrigo De Paul on the right, McAllister and Enzo through the middle, and then you had the back line of Molina, Tagliafico, Lisandro Martinez, Christian Romero, and Emi Martinez. The normal starting lineup after rotating heavily through the team on their last final stage. We saw goals come from Lisandro Martinez, who scored the first goal. And then at the 35th minute, there was a penalty in the 62nd, which was missed by Ener Valencia. And then we saw Argentina kind of bring in a lot more center defenders to help kind of control the game. We saw, which I was pretty shocked, Ener Valencia getting subbed out towards the end towards the 80th minute, which if you're trying to win this game, he's your best scorer. I think you keep him on the field, even though legs are tired. He's played a lot of minutes through this tournament, but you need him in the knockout, in the penalty kicks, especially with no extra time, so you go straight to penalties. And then we saw Kevin Rodriguez score the equalizer in the 90th minute, and then we go straight to penalties because there's no extra time in Copa now, except for the finals, which they've said all games except for the finals will go straight to penalties after 90 minutes plus extra time. And we saw Messi step up to the plate, miss his first penalty, as well as Angel Mena from Ecuador also missed their penalty. I wish the boys were on the podcast were available so we could chat it up because I definitely would love to hear their reaction from this game. But yeah, Argentina saved. We saw Julian Alvarez, Alexis McAllister, Gonzalo Montiella, and Nicolas Otamendi convert their penalties, as well as we saw John Yaboa and Jordi Caicedo convert theirs, and Alan Mida also missed for Ecuador, losing 4-2 on pens. Honestly, Argentina has not looked great um, over the last. They've been very inconsistent. Um, Especially in this game, they were very all over the place. They did not look great. Um, which, as an going into the semifinals against a really hot Canadian team right now, which I'll talk about in a little bit, would be scary as a fan because you are the defending champs. You have to play your best, and it is just not working right now. I don't know if it's formation, if it's the personnel that I would like to see change. Is that you bring in like a Di Maria in a in a semifinal situation? Do you switch formations and bring in, I don't know, you could bring in a Julian Alvarez and play Messi on the wing. You have so many options, I think, which is the luxury of having how deep Argentina is. You have like a Angel Di Maria, a Garnacho to bring on, a Lo Celso to bring on. Um, don't really have that striking presence after Julian Alvarez, but if they play them both, then you have more firepower out there. Uh, but give it up to um, Ecuador. They had a great run this tournament. We saw a lot from Kennedy Paz, who is going to be joining Chelsea soon. He looked amazing. Moises Caicedo has been very consistent. Willie Pacho has been very great. We saw Hinakapi, who had a great season with Leverkusen. There's a lot of names on this team that has had phenomenal club seasons, and they're just an all-around team, and they had a great game. You had the likes of the leader, Enter Valencia, leading the attack. Dominguez had a solid season, had a solid game and goal this tournament. So give all props to Ecuador. I think a lot of people didn't think that this was going to be easy. Think this was going to be a cakewalk. I think everybody kind of thought that Argentina was just going to walk through this competition. Right now, Ecuador kind of gave them a run for their money, and now they face a Canadian team. Now, speaking of Canada, Canada played on July 5th on Friday against Venezuela. This was a very good game. I enjoyed watching this. This was packed. They go all the way to penalties. With Canada winning 4-3 on pens. We saw goals in open play from Solomon Rondon in the 64th minute to tie it, and we saw Jacob Schaffelberg score early in the 13th minute. Everybody saw that goal, and then he put up the Tyler Buchanan jersey, who ended up tearing his ACL during training. Hopefully, a speedy recovery for him. We want him to come back stronger. He's a very good player. And then they go to penalties. And Canada wins it. We saw Liam Miller and Stefan Estiquillo miss both of their penalties, but it didn't matter because Jonathan David, Moises Bombito, Alfonso Davies, and Ismail Kone hit their pens, as well as seeing Will Granger, Angel, and Yangel Herrera and Jefferson Savrio miss their penalties. Obviously, Solomon Rondon hit his penalty. He's always going to hit it. He's a monster. This might be the last time we see Solomon Rondon at a major tournament as he's getting older. But this was a great game. Canada, what Jesse March has done in a short little time, and I mentioned this on the live reaction to the U.S. losing to Uruguay, and I'm going to talk about it in a little bit. But Jesse Marsh, he's done a phenomenal job, like I mentioned, with so little time. The team has bought into his philosophy, and and some of these guys are taking roles not starting, and which they've started before he came in, like a Kamal Miller or a Ismail Kone, Joel Walterman. these guys are taking a step back and they're bought into the system. You're seeing you see John Stone slot right in for an injured Tyler Buchanan, and he playing a phenomenal game. He's had a great tournament. Alphonso Davies is having great games. Schaffelberg has been implemented into the squad. I like what they did playing Jonathan David kind of as a second number 9 behind Kyle Laren just underneath. Jonathan Osoro stepping in for that new guard in that midfield without having Hutchinson there anymore. This team is good, and they're hot. They had one bad game leading up to this tournament, and that was losing to Holland, and then they go out and tie France. France team that had Kylian Mbappe, William Saliba, Griezmann. So this team is hot, and honestly, I kind of like their chances against Argentina. I think everybody knows once you go to penalties, it's a 50-50 chance to move on and make it. If they can play their game, if they can control the ball, they might not have a lot of possession, but I feel like this team can hold their own against Argentina. I think Argentina is struggling. They're not playing great football. I think Canada can do it here. I think Canada has a chance. Do I think I don't get me wrong. I don't think Canada's better than Argentina, but the way Canada's been playing form-wise, I think they have a chance. So it's going to be interesting. My prediction, I think, I'm going to go with Canada. Scratch it. I'm going with Canada. I think Argentina is not going to do it. I know Canada's played Argentina already in this tournament. They played them in the group stage, losing 2-0. This is a different, and they honestly didn't play bad against Canada. Or sorry, they didn't play bad against Argentina. They just couldn't convert their chances. They had a lot of shots, just not on target. They've learned. They've already played them. I think that this game will be interesting. Yeah, and I'm going to stick it with it. I think Canada pulls up the upset in the semifinals on July 9th on Tuesday. And then going to this weekend's games yesterday on Saturday, we had at 5 o'clock, we had Colombia versus Panama. Colombia wins 5-0. I don't think anyone saw Panama winning this game. Colombia just looks very good. We're talking about James Rodriguez, who will win Golden Ball player of the tournament at Copa. He has had an unbelievable tournament. 1 goal, 5 assists. He's looked amazing. The deliveries to his balls, the connections he has, breaking the lines in play to find Cordoba, to find Luis Diaz, to find Arias and Rios, or if it's Munoz and Miyaki or Makai on the outside backs. They just have a connection. He just has a connection by finding his passes and connecting on his crosses. They are a very dangerous team in set pieces. We talk about Davidson Sanchez and Cuesta, and when Yuri Mini's playing, when he plays, or when Luma was playing before getting injured. They have so much talent off the bench. You can bring in a Sinistera, Santiago Arias, Fernando Quintero, John Duran, Bora, Aspria. They have a very good team, a very all-around good team. Panama did not really have a chance. No one thought they were going to win. I don't think anyone thought they were going to win. But James, what he's done for the club at the international level compared to club, we talk about players that show up when it matters for their country. They're different when they put on that jersey for their country compared to when they put on that jersey for club. And James is a great example of that. James struggled to get game time at Sao Paulo. He comes in, he hasn't played since February. He talks to the federation, Colombian federation, asks, can I come in early? Can I get a mental health specialist? Can I get a fitness coach to help me get back to my state of playing, help me get through the stuff that I'm having at Sao Paulo, and bring it to the international level. And we see the resurgence of James Rodriguez. We're seeing flashes from him at from his World Cup in 2014 when he was one of the best players on the planet that year, and getting that move to Real Madrid, and having an unbelievable season the next year, his first season with Madrid. We're seeing old James again, and definitely at major tournaments, this is where you get your big move. And could we see one more big move out of James? Maybe back to Europe, maybe to the MLS, but get him playing time somewhere, get him prepared for the 2026 World Cup. All in all, great game. We saw goals from Luis Diaz, James Rodriguez, which I mentioned, Cordoba, and Rios, who got on the scoring sheet. Now, then they win, and then they have to wait later on for the result of probably the biggest game of the night, Uruguay versus Brazil. This is a Brazilian team that did not have Vinny Jr., who was suspended due to yellow card accumulation, did not play. A big miss. They went with Endrick up front to start. And this was a very physical game. 41 fouls combined between Uruguay and Brazil. That was very physical. Let's start with the Uruguay side. Uruguay, great team. I think they are one of the favorites. They have superstars everywhere, and when you can bring off stars that are big players for their clubs, like a Rodrigo Bentancur, like a Jose Maria Gomez, and you don't start those guys because you have big guys at that position. You have Agurta, you have Valverde, you have Araujo in their respective position, and they don't even start. That's how good, and that's their squad. Their squad depth is so great. Uruguay Colombia will be a good game. I'm leaning towards Colombia winning this. I think Colombia's hot. They haven't lost in 27 games. I just think they're slightly better all around than Uruguay. Uruguay also loses Nathan Nandez, who's been playing a great tournament at right back, for the semifinal game because he got a red card. De La Cruz and Ogurta are on yellows. They could be suspended if they pick up a yellow card during the semifinal game before they clear. They could be suspended. So they're going to have to watch that and make sure they don't do that. Now going to Brazil. I mentioned at the beginning of the tournament that this Brazil team is probably one of the weaker Brazil teams we've seen in recent years. They left out key players from the squad, the likes of no Thiago Silva, the likes of no Richarlison, Gabriel Jesus, just to name a few. No Casemiro. Veterans, they are going more youth, and I think that kind of caught them up. You have a very inexperienced team. If we look at kind of the experience of these players in major tournament situations, we're looking at Rodrigo in his second major tournament, Endrick in his first, Paquetá in his second, João Gomez in his first. Really, the only really veterans on this team is Marquinhos and Alisson and Danilo, who have played in more than two Copa Americas or major tournaments. So I think it really did show, and I think the team picking, the substitutions, tactics were very wrong for this team. You didn't have that traditional number 9. I think that's what they needed. They didn't have really great help from their outside backs. You're playing a Danilo who's very old, who played center back mostly at Juventus, which, if anything, I would play Marquinhos or Militao at right back. I would have played Bremer. You also had Couto off the bench that was barely used. You had Gabriel, who had a phenomenal season at Arsenal, and I mentioned Bremer. Eder Militao's played right back before. He did it in his early days at Madrid. He did it at Porto. Marquinhos used to play right back when they had Thiago Silva and David Luiz or Miranda in the center of the park. They played him out right back before. it just shows the lack of experience, and kind of it was we didn't see their stars come alive. Rafinha was outside of his um, goal from his set piece, free kick. He really wasn't there that much, honestly. We didn't see him that much. Rodrigo was a no show, really. He struggled in this tournament. We saw nothing from him, so it was very disappointing for Brazil, who was the favorites coming in, and they lose on pens. Douglas Luiz, Eder Militao both missed their pens. Eder Militao gets his pen save by Rocha, and Douglas Luiz hits the post. Yes, Jose Maria missed his, but then Okerta saved him and sends them on to the semifinals. I also didn't like the substitutions. Yes, Rodrigo got subbed out. Yes, Rafinha got subbed out, but I think they would have been better options to take penalties over like the likes of Douglas Luiz, Andreas Pereira, and Eder Militao. I know Pereira made his, but still, he's not that great. I was concerned why he was even on this roster with the likes of who missed out for Brazil. So that was just kind of interesting. Yeah. So now we look forward to this week with the two semifinals between not Brazil, Uruguay and Colombia on Wednesday. I will be looking forward to that game at 8 o'clock, and then on Tuesday you have Canada versus Argentina, with the third place game to be taking place this Saturday, the 13th, and then the Sunday is the final, July 14th. My predictions will be Canada versus Colombia finals. I think I think Argentina doesn't make it just the way they've been playing. I think Canada has been on fire, but I could be wrong. But I'm very confident on Colombia beating Uruguay in pens. Yeah, so that kind of rounds out Copa America. Now we switch over to the Euros. So we saw the Euros this week happen on the first game we saw happen July 5th, that Friday, which we mentioned was heavy hitters Spain versus Germany and France versus Portugal. In the first game, we saw Spain take on Germany. Spain won 2-1 with a red card at the end of the game, with Danny Carvajal getting a double yellow. But yeah, we saw Tony Kroos play in his final game for Germany and in his soccer career. This was a very interesting game. I did not like. Okay, starting with Germany, I was very shocked that they went with Emre Can in the midfield when they've been playing Robert Andrich, who's had a phenomenal season at Leverkusen. Phenomenal season at Leverkusen. I don't know why they didn't go with him. I also thought that Leroy Sané should have been benched for Florian Wirtz. I thought Wirtz gives them more depth, gives them more creativity. I think Sané is very good at getting past defenders, playing over the top through balls to him. But I think Wirtz could have gave him something more dynamic. And then once again, Fulkrug or Kai Havertz, I would have went with Fulkrug. But other than that, it was a great game for the Germans. They gave it all. Neuer had a great game. Kept him in it for most of the game up until about the 51st minute when he conceded the first goal, and then pretty much kept him in it until about the 119th minute. But yeah, we saw Tony Kroos' last game. What a guy! He is a great player. He had a phenomenal career, and we wish him luck in retirement. But it's gonna be sad not seeing him. He had a great tournament. And then from the Spain side, it's going to hurt that they don't have Carvajal on the right hand side for this upcoming semifinal game. That means most likely it will be the likes of Jesus Navas or Nacho playing at that right back position, because those are actually, yeah, Jesus Navas is really the only pure right back on the roster, and Nacho can play on anywhere on the back line. So, but he's mainly a center back. We also did see Pedri leave the field very early in the game due to being injured. Everybody kind of saw that nasty tackle that he went into from Kroos. Kroos said after the game it was not his intention to hurt him. Pedri responded and said he knew that it wasn't intentional, and yeah, so he was subbed out, and Danny Olmo came on. And then we saw Danny Olmo score in the 51st minute. What a great goal from Danny Olmo. Assist from Lamine Yamal, who's having a phenomenal tournament at the age of 16. And then we saw Mario Mikel Merino score in the 119th minute in extra time after Florian Wirtz, who came on as a sub and scored the tying goal to send it to overtime in the 89th minute. What a game. What a game. Two powerhouse hitters. And me and Casey were talking on the podcast last week and yesterday about how pretty much this was the final. Germany versus one of the finals of two. Pretty much whoever won this game and the winners of the Portugal-France game would go into the finals. This was our finals because on one side of the bracket, it's heavy hitters. On the other side, you got one heavy hitter, two heavy hitters, and a few okay teams that have gotten lucky to get in, made these Cinderella runs. Yeah, but yeah, Danny Carvajal gets a second yellow. He's off, gets sent off. He misses the semifinals, which could cost Spain dearly on the France side because he would be going up against the likes of Kylian Mbappe and Ousmane Dembele, and those boys of France. So yeah, now to the next games on that day was Portugal versus France. Ronaldo and Pepe versus Kylian Mbappe and Tchouameni and Griezmann. We see pretty much it was a tie game for pretty much the entire game, going all the way to penalties, and France winning on penalties 5-3. We saw Ronaldo and Pepe at the end of the game, which was very sad to see. Pepe probably playing his final game in a Portuguese uniform. At the age of 41, he goes down as the oldest player to ever play in the Euros. We see Ronaldo. This is probably potentially his last Euros ever. He bows out of the competition with 0 goals and 1 assist. Both him and Messi pretty much had identical stats so far in their respective tournaments. Messi 0 goals, 1 assist. Ronaldo 0 goals, 1 assist. And if Messi loses, then they both still are even on titles at the international stage. Fun fact. But going back to the game, Ronaldo scores his first penalty. Ousmane scores his first. Then it goes to Bernardo Silva and Yusuf Fofana. They both score their second. And then we see João Felix miss his, as well as Jules Koundé converting his. And then we see Nuno Mendes make his penalty and Bradley Barcolo making it 3-4 on penalties, respectively. And then Theo Hernandez stepped up and took the winning pen, hence winning the game 3-5, moving France on. Funny enough, no Mbappe was on the field during this time. He was subbed out. No Griezmann, no Kolo Muani, no Olivier Giroud. So interesting to see those boys. They would think would step up and take pens. Griezmann did not. Griezmann now and France moving on to the next round into the semifinals to take on Spain, which there are reports coming out of France camp that Griezmann could be benched for this upcoming game due to the tactical situations of not being fast enough, not being quick enough to create like he once did. So there are rumors that he might not be playing. Definitely keep a lookout for that because that can change the dynamic of the game. So does that mean you bring in the likes of Tchouameni and play him higher up the pitch and move Conte up the pitch or Fofana, or do you bring in a Rabiot again? Bring back Rabiot into the starting line if you do take out Griezmann. I think personally you don't take out Griezmann. Yes, he's not the same player. He's a bit older, but he still kind of brings that concern that he could at any time turn it on. So this game could be good. I think this game ends 1-1 and they go into penalties. But yeah, that's what I think from that side of the bracket. And then we look at the other side. On Sunday's games, we saw we saw on Saturday, we saw England versus Switzerland. They tied 1-1. Switzerland took the lead early, and then England equalized. Later on in the game, we saw, I believe it was, we saw goals from Bukayo Saka, who played as that right wing back, and we also saw a goal come from Brian Bolo in the 75th minute to make it 1-0. And like I mentioned, Saka scoring to tie the game up. We saw Southgate move into a different formation during this game. He did hint at switching formations. They went with a back three of Kyle Walker, John Stones, and Konza from City, Villa, and City, respectively. We saw Bukayo Saka play that right wing back, which he's played right wing back before. He's played left wing back before. He looked amazing in that position. He looked more alive. Definitely still see that issue at that midfield position. Is it Conor Gallagher? Is it Kobe Manu? Is it Alexander Arnold? It'll be interesting to see who they go with in the midfield. You could also move John Stones into the midfield and bring in the likes of Luke Shaw, Joe Gomez, Lewis Dunk to play that center back position if you move John Stones into the midfield. We've seen John Stones play CDM before. And then I liked Foden and Bellingham underneath Kane more. Kane, though, Kane has struggled this tournament. He really, if you look at the stats against Switzerland, he really did not touch the ball that much. And it was quite alarming because as a striker, you need to be able to come get the ball and be involved in play. And he really wasn't involved that much. So it's an issue, but hopefully he can bounce back. Same with Foden and Bellingham, because we've seen Bellingham a little bit more than Foden. Foden really we haven't seen City Foden. So hopefully they can step it up. But from the Swiss side, we got to give props to them. They had a great tournament. Hands down, stars everywhere. Great players on the field at all times. Yeah, like the likes of Xhaka, Akanji, Jan Summers, Freuler, just to name a few. And they did this with Shaqiri mostly on the bench for this tournament, and Zakaria. So you got to give props to Switzerland. They made a great run all the way to the quarters. I don't think a lot of us saw them making it out the round of 16, but they surprised us. And the same thing with the team that I'm going to talk to you about next. It's Turkey. Turkey and the Netherlands played. Turkey took the lead from a header from a defender, another center back, early in the game, and that was in the 35th minute. An assist from Guler. We saw it was a set piece. Guler whipped it in, or sorry, not Guler. Chanaloglu whipped it in, and then it was headed out by Van Dijk right to Guler. Guler takes a touch, whips it back in, finds Akademi for the header, and they're up 1-0. I honestly thought Turkey was going to take it. We did not see a lot from Gakpo and Memphis and Xavi during the first half. They kind of struggled. So then Koeman makes a sub and brings in Weghorst for Bergwijn. And once Weghorst came on the field, the game changed. They needed that pure number 9 to be able to they kick it up to, control it, hold up playing, and allow his players to get up his teammates to get up the field. We saw more explosive from Depay, who struggled in the first. Same with Gakpo. Honestly, Van Dijk did struggle this game, but they got the result, and we saw that goal come from De Vrij with a rebound shot from Depay and Schouten. De Vrij heads it in, goal. It's 1-1, 78th minute. They bring in Mickey Van de Ven for Ake, who was on the yellow. Mickey Van de Ven, they need to find a way to get him involved. He looked phenomenal in this game. He was fast. He defended well. He had some crucial block shots. There was one shot in the second half towards the end of the game when they could have tied it, and Mickey Van de Ven saves it right before the guy shoots it and saves it, and then kicks it out. Great defending on the line, stopping them from scoring, keeping it 2-1. Like I mentioned, there was an own goal by Mert Mudler. Um, they were going back and forth whether to give it to Gakpo or not, but it ended up being an own goal, and obviously Turkey losing 2-1. So now it's the Netherlands versus England in the semifinals. My predictions for the semifinals: I'm going with Spain. I think Spain just edges out France in PKs, and I'm going to go with England, making it England versus Spain finals, and Spain takes it at the finals. And then, yeah, I that's what I think is going to happen. Um, they'll play this Sunday or this upcoming. Yep, they'll play on. I believe it's July 14th at 3 o'clock. As the same day as the Copa America finals, which Copa will play at 8, and the Euros final will be at 3. So very winding down this tournament. I'm definitely going to reflect over our predictions of Euros and Copa. We'll talk about, we'll react to the awards when they come out as well. So yeah, that kind of wraps up the Euros and Copa talk. Now moving on to our Columbus Crew. They played yesterday against Toronto, and it was a great game. The Crew are on fire right now. We're outscoring our opponents. We're out playing them. I like the formation we're doing. We're finally playing Christian Ramirez, Diego Rossi, and Cucho Hernandez together, which I've been talking about for a while that we need to be starting Christian Ramirez. I think he's one of the best players on our team. He's one of our best scorers. I think he needs to be in there. We talk about this team very good up front. They're 11 goals, 9 assists. Last 4 matches, the Crew have outscored their opponents 15-1. We are on fire. We have not lost in a very long time. Can we keep this momentum going and win another MLS Cup? I think we can. We're a really good team. We're fine. I think we make a couple more signings in this July transfer window, and we're fine. Me and Casey also were able to go to the FCC game versus Inter Miami, and wow, let me tell you, Inter Miami is a different team without Suarez and Messi and Alaba. They literally had Busquets playing center back, and he got cooked multiple times by LA or by Cincinnati. Busquets gets sent off, and they end up losing 6-1. So FCC is scary, but we also have to think this is a team without Messi and Suarez. So all in all, we're getting closer to MLS All-Star game that's going to be in Columbus, which I'm very excited about to watch. The Crew, they keep rolling. Hopefully they keep taking this momentum in the Leagues Cup too, because I think we can win Leagues Cup if we play correctly. I know we might not have Schulte due to him being at the Olympics, which I can't wait to see the Olympics start after Copa and Euros end. And then we start preseason soccer for the club teams. Talk about just wrapping it up with transfers at the end. We see it's official. Michael Olise is officially signing with Bayern Munich. He passes medical today. He becomes one of the highest paid transfers from Bayern Munich. Now the question is now with this bringing in Olise, who can play at cam and play on the right hand side, does that mean Gnabry is gone or Kingsley Coman could leave? So it'll be very interesting to see that. See what happens there at that situation. From that outcome of bringing in Michael Olise, we saw Vincent Company making a stamp on that, as was pretty much have agreed personal terms with João Paulinho, and could he be a replacement for Kimmich if Kimmich decides to leave? I know Kimmich is thinking about leaving Bayern Munich, and PSG and City are keen on him to get. Another big move that we've seen developing is the likes of Karim Adeyemi moving to Chelsea. They are in talks right now about getting him over here. I know Chelsea's high on him. Bring in some competition for Nori Madueke. And we also see Real Madrid are getting one step closer to getting Lenny Yoro to replace Nacho, who just left for Saudi Arabia. And we've gotten word that Alphonso Davies is more likely to leave Bayern Munich this summer. So definitely keep an eye out. Real Madrid has been interested in Alphonso Davies, I know they want to get him for pretty cheap or get him for free next year, but right now their priority is to re-sign Ferland Mendy, who had a great year this year in the Champions League and in the league, helping Real Madrid win winning a treble this season at Madrid. So it'll be interesting. Now to finish off the episode today, we have to talk about the U.S. So the U.S. soccer released a supporter shield, or not supporter shield, but supporters from the Outlaws about the USMNT firing calling for Gregg Berhalter to be fired and bringing in a new coach. Now, there's a lot of speculation because on the 4th of July, Jurgen Klopp posted a picture saying Happy 4th of July to the Americans and thinking about his time with Liverpool and coming over to the States for preseason tour. Now, there are the people that are reading into it as, is he hinting that he could be the next U.S. coach? And there are people that are going, there's no way he's going to be the U.S. coach. Right now, I think it is a fairy tale dream. I think they're going to talk to him. I don't think they're going to get him the coach. Yes, we do have a few years before the 2026 World Cup, but we do need to find a coach that can come in now and start working with this team. I don't think Klopp, one, wants to come back right now, and two, I don't think we can bring him in. I think we need to go after a Klopp type, but I doubt we get a Klopp type. I know Pep Guardiola and Jose Mourinho have been mentioned in the past because they both said they want to work with the national team at some point in their career before they retire. And listening to Jimmy Conrad on his podcast talk to Doug McTeary, or whoever I forget who he actually talked to. I know he talked to an insider. I think his name is Doug or something. Talking to him about kind of the inside scoop on that situation. There is definitely something that could happen with who we get. I think the person that I mentioned on the podcast after the game, Steve Cherundolo. Steve Cherundolo is a former U.S. men's national team player who's played in 3 World Cup. He knows the situation. He knows the steps. He knows how the U.S. works. I think he's our favorite to become the coach. He's had limited success in MLS, winning trophies, winning the Supporter Shield, winning MLS Cup with LAFC. He's been to another finals but lost. He's also been to the CONCACAF finals, Champions League final. So he has some experience, but not a ton. He was an assistant coach in Germany. I do like Steve Cherundolo a lot. I think he knows a lot of the players. He worked with them in the U.S. system when in the under 21s, under 16s, under 15s when he was a coach there. He was worked with these players before, but I think you cannot not offer Klopp or a Guardiola or a Jose Mourinho of the world a contract or have a talk with them because we need someone from a European coach. Or an international coach. We need someone with prestige. There's only, like I mentioned, there's only 2 U.S. coaches that I would take right now, or 3. Jim Curtin, which he's not going to get fired or resign from Philadelphia anytime soon. They've already said it, even due to their poor form. Jesse March, who we burned that bridge with a while back ago. That's why he's the Canadian coach now. And Steve Cherundolo. Would I want a Klopp or a Pep Guardiola or a Jose Mourinho? Yes, 100%. I would take him in a heartbeat, but we have to be realistic. And if we can't get him, then we get someone that knows the system. We know someone that's been through the U.S. System before, who's gone through as a player or an assistant. Like I would have taken B.J. Callahan if he didn't take the Nashville job. I think Cherundolo makes right sense. The question is, can we get him out of his contract early? That's going to be the question. But we do need a change. They're going to make a final decision on Berhalter's future this week. When he does, we'll probably come out with an episode of reacting to whatever decision they make. Hopefully, it's in the right steps, because I don't think Berhalter's that person to take us to the next level, especially crashing out of the group stage in Copa America. So hopefully that works out. Something that I forgot to mention, that Arsenal did during the transfer window, they ended up going out and signing Ricardo Calfori from Bologna. He's a left-footed player. Gives me reminds me the look. Him and his picture at the Euros reminds me of a prime Maldini look with the headband and the slicked hair back. He can play left back and he can play center back. I think he will slot right in and start. That meaning that's either means Zinchenko or Kawar will leave this summer in the transfer window. Kawar had a great season last year. To me, also playing on that left hand side was great, and Zinchenko was okay this season. But Calfori, what we saw in this run in the Euros was insane. He played very well, and he deserves this move to Arsenal. I know Chelsea was linked to him. I know I wish we got him, but he ends up going to Arsenal, and he gets that move. One of those sought out prospects that shines in the Euros. We see this at major tournaments all the time. Players that shine get big money moves afterwards, and yeah, we also saw Drewsbury Hall move to Chelsea. Was a little confused on that move just because of how much midfield depth we have. We get Andre Santos back. We still have Caicedo, Romeo Lavia, who, yes, it missed all the games. Kennedy Paz, Enzo, Justin, Connor Gallagher. We have a ton of midfielders, so it's very interesting why we went for him when we still need a striker, I think. I know I've seen reports of we're offering Cesar Cadi and Romelu Lukaku for Osimhen, but I don't know if we'll go for Osimhen. I know we're in talks with Atletico about Samu, and we're also in talk where we did get Mark Gahey from Barcelona, who is younger, so he's definitely not going to start right away. I'm shocked they're not going to loan him out, but I guess him and Nico right now is our up top. But yeah, so yeah, that definitely rounds. Other than that, I know the Olympic squad has been released. And I wanted to talk a little bit about it if we had time. The biggest omission is Diego Luna left off of it. We also did see Walker Zimmerman, Miles Robinson, and Georgie Lihovic from Colorado, Cincinnati, and Nashville, respectively, called up for the over age players, because you get 3 of those. This is an under 23 tournament, but each team can promote 3 older players to squad, which we've seen teams do. Ended up not, due to the fact that a lot of club teams are blocking their releases, because the Olympics happens to be during preseason and the beginning of the start of their league play, so they're not letting a lot of players leave. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Hopefully the boys will be back next week. Definitely check this out. Definitely both episodes of this and NBA will be out tomorrow. Check it around 10 o'clock in the morning. Definitely keep a lookout, and we'll be back with you more. Peace.